Welcome to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge magic has to offer. This is a place to illuminate and demystify all things magical. Hi, I'm Reverend Raven, and I am so excited to be a part of this podcast. We are going to ask all of the questions about magic from many magical practitioners across the country. We are three badass witches who hail from the most magical place on earth. No, not Disney World, but New Orleans, Louisiana. We are going to interview several magical practitioners and have them tell you about their practices and how we can bring things together. The power of community is strong, and we hope to be able to offer you strength and courage to be the person that you are meant to be, through being the magical practitioner that you are born to be as well. So stay tuned. We have a lot of cool things to offer, a lot of things in store, many guests, lots of topics, and like I said, no questions are off limits. Well, welcome, magical people, to Magical Aspirations. I have a really special one-off interview today. This is Reverend Raven, and I am joined by LaReina here, who is going to share a little bit about transformation and how to become who we are in our magical practice. So welcome, LaReina.
Hello.
Well, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right, wonderful. Once again, my name is LaReina. I am a local witch here out in New Orleans. I'm originally from California, but I do have family connects to Louisiana. So I returned here as a returning of home. I am also the owner of Queenly Conjure, which is a folk magic tea brand that really connects the traditional connections of root work, druidry, and folk magic with the Chinese tea ceremonies, as well as just a connection with tea, which dives into our connections with the earth and with herbs and roots. I am also a burlesque performer. I am a photographer, videographer, and I am feline in spirit. And that is a good kind of introduction of myself.
Awesome. It sounds like you are a witch of all trades.
Oh, yes. Very much.
With that in mind, I'm going to jump right in and ask you, what are your magical aspirations?
So my magical aspirations, we got a chance to talk a little bit about this earlier, and I viewed myself as a person who really dives into connecting with information and knowledge. And what I aspire to be is to be a person that someone can come up to, whether if they have questions or in needing of guidance, not as someone who has all the answers, but at least can give a little taste of some of those answers to help further more questions. What I called myself earlier is that I'd like to be a watchtower in that sense, a guiding post. And that's who I aim to be.
Those are amazing aspirations. I love that. I think that if everybody could aspire to be a resource for others, that's a really noble cause and a noble aspiration.
Thank you.
And it sounds like you've been on your magical path for a while now, at least.
Oh, yeah.
Journey, huh?
It's been a pretty big journey. I mean, I'm only 30. I'm only 30, and I recently just turned 30, so definitely made it through that Saturn return. So this is a great time to even reflect on all of these things too. But yes, I've been in the practice since, for a while. I've been a magical person since long as I can remember. On my mother's side is usually where we practice more of our spiritual calling. And on my father's side, I grew up mostly with my father, and he was he he was a pastor, and my grandfather was a reverend. So I lived in that household under like non-denominational Christianity. But I was still witchy as hell from the beginning. So definitely was a cause of stir in a lot of the family connections, that's for sure. And even that was a great journey in just standing strong in myself and following my ancestors, following my spiritual guides, and following my heart. And that's kind of been a big call throughout my entire witchy transformation.
Yes. So that actually leads right into my next question. About transformation. I really love following you on social media because you are always posting new things about something you're working on, or this new outfit that you've put together, or a new tea blend or jewelry that you're making. It seems like you are always doing something different.
Yes. Yes, I really do. Like a chameleon in that way. Some part of it might be just like maybe I just have a lot of interest in a lot of things. You know, also with a lot of my life growing up being like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like neurodivergent has also been an interesting route of life, but in the same way, I try to do things that make me feel happy. And especially if I'm feeling really low, or if I'm feeling not necessarily connected to myself, sometimes it takes stepping out of a comfort zone to do something else. It's that moment where, like, if you're working on something, say if you're writing an essay or something like that, and you're writing for forever, and you find yourself blocked or stopped, that is a great time to switch to something else, to let the other part of your brain, the other part of your spirit, to work on something else while it thinks of new and creative ways for you to continue with whatever you're doing. So sometimes if I find myself blocked in one way, for example, if I can't think of, what to do with Queenly Conjure, what to do, make a post or something like that, or even if I can't think of a new tea or something, then I'll go, okay, let's do something else. Let's set this aside, do something else that makes me feel happy and joyful and creative. And usually in those times when I'm diving into something else, it frees me up to be able to come back to it with a fresher heart and a fresher point of view. And that's kind of where I'm at. Now, if you heard from my mom or my dad, they would just be like, oh, she just does things. All of a sudden, I'll just pick up a new hobby. And they're like, when did you learn how to do that? Like, oh, yesterday.
Wow.
There's also that part of it too.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, I guess I just like wearing a lot of hats.
Wow. So, do you feel like those are things that you just kind of know that you're good at? Like, are you led by your intuition to try different kinds of things? Or are you just naturally good at a bunch of shit?
See, I am not naturally good at a bunch of shit. I will nip that in the bud now. I have a Leo rising, so that's a part of that praise part that I will not allow myself to dive into. But I think a lot of it is intuition, and a lot of it is I guess from the magical sense that I whenever I'm connecting, even with my magic, it comes from a space that is very like tangible. It's whatever evokes any of the senses. I love to focus on that. So no matter what it is, all of my art, all of the forms of magic that I do is to connect deeper with the senses. So for like touch, like that, for me, that's movement, and that's in dance. And from sense, that's, and even taste, that's from tea, and even like meditational events that I like to put on. All parts of it just has to do with, okay, how do I connect more and deeper with myself? And sometimes I like to show that to the world. So that's what you'll see on that end. And sometimes I just love to explore all that this life has for us. Um, and I mean, that's the fun of it. It's the fun of
Yeah.
life, and it helps bring more vibrance in it once you realize that you can put your magic in anything that you do too. So there's also a little bit of glamour magic in everything, of course. So maybe that's why you might think that I'm great at everything, but I am not. Trust me.
You choose what others see. So.
Right. Exactly. So that's probably the glamour that's working more than anything else.
Well, you actually brought up the word events, putting on, and that was the next place that I was going to go. I remember, I believe this is the first time that we met in person. You were set up selling teas outside of Always. They were having a market out there.
Yeah.
And I walked up to you and I said, I swear I think we know each other.
Yes.
I
I
think that we met already.
remember.
And you were like, we probably have in another universe.
Hmm.
And it was so welcoming the way that you said it. It wasn't like, oh no, we didn't meet, or oh yeah, we met at this certain thing. You didn't make me feel stupid about saying that, even though I couldn't like put my finger on it. Your spirit just felt familiar.
Right.
And then we have interacted so many different times in different spaces, different types of events, and always in that outreach type
Mhm.
of, in the community.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're right. It does, because almost every time that I see you, it's like we've already had like a long conversation about something anyway. So we
Yeah.
just like brush past all the niceties and go, okay, hi.
Hi. Yep. This is what's going on. This is what we're doing.
Yep.
Let's
Exactly.
be fabulous together.
Uh-huh.
It's that Leo energy, I
Yeah.
guess.
It must be. It must be.
Well, I'm always amazed at the amount of detail that you put into your work. Using the tea blends as an example, the number of different ingredients and the care that you put into making your blends.
Mhm.
And so that kind of brings me to the next question of what is your favorite type of tea to make and why?
Oh, that is so hard. That's a hard
I won't tell the other ones.
question.
It's like a mama telling that she has a favorite, I
I
guess.
know, I know. That's really, really difficult, because I mean they all vary on uh what how you're feeling that day. I mean, when we look at the roots and the herbs, they are spirits too. They're little spirits, and they have their personalities. So each of the tea blend is like its own entity in its own in a sense. Its own entity. It's a spell, but in its own sense, it's each one is their own entity, and it's almost like saying, which friend do you want to hang out with? Which friend is your best friend? It's like, oh, but they're all great and they all do different things. So I'll just talk about, like, for this season.
Okay,
This
okay,
season,
that's fair.
what's my favorite? Oh, and even that's hard. Hmm. Okay, I'll give you my two, because I can't limit them. Two, we'll do two, and they have two different reasons of why they are my favorites. I'll start first with the Elements of Fire, which is an herbal hot cocoa. I don't know. Have you tried that one yet?
Oh no, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. It has cinnamon, star anise, rose, hibiscus, jasmine, and organic cocoa. Uh, and it has this like beautifully, it's very warm and very filling. And so that one I crafted specifically for creativity. So it's a great one to drink, on these, especially these winter nights, or if it's like a really stormy day and you're just at home and you're reading, or you're writing, or you're painting, anything that is kind of a more standalone form of art that you have to kind of sit and pour your heart and soul into. And like nothing really, for me, really connects that heart and soul like just the combination of like cocoa and star anise together. Those flavors are so very vibrant, and the texture is like a warm hug like happening inside of you.
Oh, yes, please.
So, and then I like to add that with oat milk creamer and top it off with like whipped cream or something. And if you are above drinking age, adding it with some gin tastes
Mm.
like Christmas. It's so delicious. And like not Yule, but tastes like Christmas. Like when you were a child and you saw the commercials of Christmas, and you're like, oh, that looks great. That's what it tastes like to me.
Sounds so magical.
It is. It is. So that one is a great one for for the season, and then another one, which is a new one that I recently made, is called the Sun Salutation, and that one is a great tea to drink
Mm.
in the morning. Honestly, for mostly any season, but especially now because it helps clear out like any mucuses. It's got mullein. It has nettle. It has lemon pills. It has jasmine green tea. So if you need that extra like burst of energy too, without it being too heavy like it is if you're drinking coffee, and it's really helpful for like soothing your stomach as well. And I get pretty bloated sometimes in the morning, so um adding that on there while you're doing your yoga, that's why it's called sun salutation.
Ooh,
uh,
nice.
and drinking that while pairing it with your morning routines, or just sitting to watch the sunrise. It's a great blend for that. It's really delicious. Peppermint, it's also got peppermint in it too, so
Ooh.
also great for your gums. So it's like an all-around great breakfast or before breakfast tea.
Ooh, I love that.
Right. Mhm.
Peppermint always seems to kind of calm my stomach as well.
Yes, exactly,
Peppermint tea.
exactly.
So we've talked about transformation and you allowing yourself to do different things that interest you.
Mhm.
It's been kind of fun for me to watch your dance pictures popping up here and you being involved in different types of dance as a burlesque performer.
Yeah.
Is this something new or something you're revisiting?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a revisiting. So my first kind of art performance was dance. It started off with dance. And actually, when I moved to New Orleans as a burlesque performer,
Oh, okay.
and I moved here to do burlesque. And I've always added my magic in my dance. Whether that's like certain conjure oils that I'm wearing, or a specific movement, or songs or costumes dedicated to certain uh, spiritual spaces.
Mhm.
uh, but it's always been added into that. And but like I said, I moved here for burlesque, and that was actually 3 days before the quarantine in 2020.
Whoa.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Whoa.
Yes, and actually, I have a pretty interesting story about that whole thing when we're talking about synchronicity and following, your guides and all that. And before I moved to New Orleans, I was living in Atlanta, and I was performing and all that stuff there. And I had gotten a divorce, and I was in this big kind of huge transformation in my own life of where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be. Definitely a huge call, like a butterfly moment for myself.
Mhm.
And I decided that I was going to move to New Orleans because every time I came to New Orleans, it was calling me return home. And I remember like in, I guess, January, December of 2020/2019, I was doing readings for people to help fund my trip to New Orleans. And for everyone, it kept saying like, in 3 months time, don't do this thing. In 3 months, like you got to pay it. You don't know all the facts about stuff, so just chill. Don't make any major drastic changes. And like, I'm doing these readings for people, and I stop and I'm like, oh, but what about me? I'm about to move to New Orleans in March.
Right.
And I did my reading. They're like, no, you're good. The fool, just go.
Oh, wow.
You're good. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to go and do this.
hmm And so, I did. And then 3 days later, at that moment, it was as if I lost my whole career immediately. As soon as I moved to a new place. So it was such a huge, like heavy spiritual moment where I also was like, what? Like, am I not hearing these messages right? I felt really just lost in that time. And that this was actually the birth of Queenly Conjure.
Oh,
Yeah. So
awesome.
that's actually where it came from. Because of that time period, I was able to really get back to dedicating more energy and connection to my spiritual practice. And this was also during a time where I connected with Crescent City Conjure too, with St. Elias. Um, I had so many great moments that was like, yeah, you are supposed to be. This is right. This is right. This is right. And yeah, that was the birth of it, and it's still going. We're still here with Queenly Conjure. It's shifted a little more after the shop, and we'll be seeing a return of the space again soon. Not as soon as I thought earlier, but soon we'll be seeing it again. But yeah, so it was. I came back to burlesque as a way of that moment of, okay, this is stopped right here because I need a break. And I moved towards reconnecting with myself again, because that's very important. I had to pour everything, all that I had, into the shop, and I wasn't pouring enough back into myself. And burlesque helps me pour back into me, and it helps me reconnect to all parts of myself so that I can share that information and that knowledge and pour it right back into Queen of Conjure and let it go back and forth to find a good balance between those two. So it's not new, but it is reinvigorated.
Yeah. It's a new iteration of itself, I guess.
Exactly. I was a different person too. I mean, we all were pre-COVID,
Yeah.
but I approached the stage in a completely different version of myself and how I approach it now, and even being like softer on myself and stretching before and after performances, which I didn't used to do, and I had knee problems at 23.
Wow.
And so now this time around, I'm like, okay, so this is what we're not gonna do to ourselves.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So do you find yourself incorporating dance into your magic and ritual?
Oh, always. That I can't separate the two. Um, in my practice, like movement is very, very important. Song, the beat of the drum, the heartbeat itself, which is the inner drum, is incredibly important, and it's our way of connecting not only to our earth as we pound our feet on the floor and as we sing our praises in the sky and in the air, and as we move with the fire within our hearts. you know um, it connects to all parts of this spiritual journey, this spiritual path. It's a full body connection, um, and soul connection. Everything is deep within the magic. You yourself are magic. Your body, the temple, this whole connected piece is magic, and moving it is one way to like also help power your spells or your outward spells or whatever work that you're doing. Even when I'm working with the herbs, I've got music on, I'm moving, I'm dancing, I'm pouring that energy into that life into it as well. So yeah, oh, definitely. Like I said,
Awesome.
I can't separate the two. It's the same thing to me.
So you were talking about the beat of the drum, and it reminded me of whenever we got to come and host the moon ritual there with you at Queenly Conjure space, and you had all of these instruments there that you passed around, and so everybody could be involved, and it was really special. And I saw that you guys have something coming up here this coming week for Yule.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
We do. So we are pairing up with Lavender Lounge, and Lavender Lounge is a new kind of event space that is centered around BIPOC, lesbians, and sapphics, and it's really to help kind of open up and connect those spaces so that more specifically femmes of color and queer of color folks can come together to celebrate life and what a great time to celebrate during the winter solstice. And the winter solstice will be at Margaret's Place on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 21st, from 6 to 10, where we'll be having open space for people to come in. We'll have tarot readings. I'll be doing some tarot readings. We also are going to do a bay leaf ritual, as well as tea ceremony. And we'll have food, drinks, and music and movement, all those things that you need to help pour that fire back into these cold nights. That's where we have the winter solstice to bring community together, to bring our families together. We don't have necessarily wassail, but it's something similar. It's something similar that I'll be bringing, which is my winter meadow tea as well, which is like a sorrel. So we're adding also like a cultural based drink into it too. So we've got some sorrel in there as well. And so we'll have a guided meditation and ceremony and just space for everyone to come together and get some heat in our hearts. Even though it's cold outside.
Yes. And will the event be inside or outside?
Both. So we'll have some space outside because we'll have a fire pit out there, and that fire pit is not only to help keep us warm, but also that will be where we'll do the bay leaf rituals. And we also have space indoors as well that people can hang out in, and where the ceremony space is too. And then we'll have music outside where you can dance too. So it also can, make it more safe as well for everyone. And we also have some heaters. We'll have some heaters outside too. So
nice.
Just in case we get hit with the super crazy cold front that we had 2 years ago, then we should be set.
Yeah. You literally never know around here.
You really don't.
We could be in shorts and flip-flops, or we could be needing heaters.
Exactly. So we are prepared.
Awesome. So for those who are not able to join y'all in person, what is a bay leaf ceremony? And is that something that people could do at home?
Yes, actually. So for the bay leaf ceremony, first, the best way to do it, first, you're going to want to have your bay leaves, and you would first want to set some time aside to meditate with it, elevate it according to your practice, which is usually to gift the bay leaf and to awaken the bay leaf's magical powers and connection to help open it. And you'll sit with it, and you'll meditate with it. And in this meditation, we're thinking of what is it that we want, or that we're asking for spirit, for the universe to ignite in our lives. So what do we want to either pour more power, more energy into, especially in this time, we're raising the energy, we're raising the fire, the warmth in our hearth so that we can give birth, quote unquote, to ourselves and our goals and our aspirations for next year. So this is the time where we take these moments, go, okay, I need a little bit more power in my passions for art, or I want more power in my passions for just life, or I want to help reignite my desire to go back to school, anything like that. That's what you'll want to sit and meditate on. And then you would take a piece of like a marker or something, and you can write that on the bay leaf and take that with you in a safe space where you can have your fire. Thank the fire for its spirit, its energy as well, before setting your bay leaf in there and letting that smoke to rise up into the universe and into your guides, and for your ancestors to help light that way for you. Yes.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I've definitely done bay leaf rituals in the past, but I love the way that you explain it about gifting the bay
Mm.
leaf and blessing it ahead of time and things like that. So I think I'm actually going to incorporate that into my group ritual tomorrow.
Yes. Oh,
Mhm.
yes, definitely. I highly suggest it for any if you're working with any herb or even any organic spirit or organic, tool. It's very important to elevate it and to gift it for
Mhm.
its life and for its energy and a way to also help kind of awaken it. We don't own the herbs, we don't own earth. We work together with it in tandem. So just like if you and I were wanting to do something, or if I asked you, can you help me with something, right? Want to have that exchange. There's always a form of
Mhm.
exchange of energy. Um, and so a gift is always a great place to start when working with these beings.
Oh, that's so special. So you've mentioned the ancestors
Mhm.
and about the name Queenly Conjure.
Mhm.
How does conjure relate to your ancestors and your spiritual work?
Yes, so I come from a line specifically on my mother's side of conjure folks and root workers, and so it's a way of reconnecting to those ancestors, as well as honoring their path and their journey here in the Americas, and how that has transformed my spiritual path and spiritual journey.
Mhm.
uh, Queenly represents, this goes back into the earth and recognizing that our uh, what's the word I'm looking for, like our kingdom, our wealth is in the earth. The earth is
Mm.
power, it's magic, it's prosperity. It's all the thing we grow. We ourselves come out from it. All these beautiful things come from the earth. That is the kingdom. And taking time to care for the kingdom is incredibly a huge honor, as well as a what's the word I'm looking for, like a study of conjure
Mhm.
folks and root workers. So we recognize that there's power in the land, and that's where we work with. Um, Queenly also represents this kind of elevated space of uh, being a servant of the people in this way. So we're flipping kind of the script of how we view royalty, and we view it as the land is of royalty. So we are serving
Mm.
the land and elevating ourselves in this way to honor it and to honor our spirits and honor our paths as well.
Oh, wow. I have cold chills. I knew you were a magical being whenever I first met you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and so that's that connection with it, as well as my name being LaReina, meaning the queen.
Mhm.
So it's also pulling all those things all together.
Yeah. So what is the queen studying right now?
Ooh, a mixture of things. I'm actually reading two books, and I'm rushing to go find those books.
Of course, you're reading two books at the same time. Us witches love to do that.
Right, I have so many books that are just like, when are you gonna finish me? I'm like, one
I'll
day
be excited
soon.
if I'm three-quarters of the way through one.
Exactly. So the first one is called Cat Call. It's about like reclaiming the feral feminine by Kristen J. Soley. I just got this book, so
Ooh.
I'm still learning it. And the other book, well, this one here, I'm looking at this right now. It's called The Untamed History of the Cat Archetype in Myth and Magic. So it's by an author of Witches, Sluts, and Feminists. And so this is just a really interesting book. And all I saw was the cat eyes, and I was like, ooh, that one.
Need it.
Yes, I've been reconnecting with that, as well as a form of healing for myself, of reconnecting with that feline spirit as a way of expressing my independence and connecting with the sensuality and the balance, and making my home feel comforting too, So that's been my connection with cats today. And
Awesome.
the second book that I'm reading at the same time is called A Legacy of Druids. And that's by Ellen Everett Hopman. And it's about the conversations with Druid leaders of Britain, the US, and Canada, past and present. So each chapter is from like a different Druid leader or Druidic order. And they're just talking about their journey, their path, and what Druidry means to them, and how to for other Druids to connect as well. So I'm reading that at the same time. And this one is also really, really interesting book and story to help also point the way for more information. Like I said, Watchtowers. So this is a good Watchtower book if you want some more information too of a lot of the Druid orders that are around. And yeah.
Do you feel like you incorporate some Druidry into your magical practice?
Oh, definitely. Now, Druidry connects very closely with like my root work practices. And as well as my indigenous heritage too. So it connects well with just kind of connecting with earth in general. But it also helps give some great foundation for connecting all those things together. And the stories are also beautiful and lovely. And just a deeper connection even with how we view the feminine images, right, in our spiritual practices, of in looking at Danu, for example, the mother of all Fae. And we go back to there's so many creation stories, right, that are in there, and just that connection of the deep forest, and recognizing that at least I do. I want to return to living deep in the forest. So, and I've noticed more and more people are also like, can we go back to living like that again? Because that seemed nice. That seemed nice. But yes, no, I definitely incorporate a lot of my Druidry into my practice as well, by just, focusing on the earth and that connection to. I also come from a family of farmers, so that's deeply connected to that too.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear you say all of those things, because a lot of my family comes from Celtic type background, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. And then when I first started studying the magical practices and pagan paths and things like that, then those Celtic and Druid, ways really called to me because it seemed familiar to my heart.
Yes.
But then growing up, I grew up on a farm and a family of farmers and people that work with their hands, and then recently medical practitioners and things like that. And it just feels like so many of the stories are, returning to my heart finds them familiar.
Yes. Oh, yes. I completely agree. And I've learned my Celtic past. That comes from my father's side. So, yeah, so I completely understand it. It's very true. Very true.
Well, you've talked a bit about moving around different places, and I think that I've caught that you are have a travel bug, and like to go different places. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. Your wanderer spirit.
Yes, that's very true. So I grew up in California, in Compton in particular, and which you can hold on to some of the thoughts that you might have about that. But ever since I was young, I never really cared for like big crowds, for one, big crowds of places, and I always wanted to see something different. And that goes back to kind of like my art space, right? Like I grew up also on BBC channel all the time too. So seeing different, communities there, as well as my grandfather, he had a den. And so he had books on books upon books of different cultures and different places as well. And my mom, when she would come to visit, that we would go traveling and take these big trips to places. And that it just started from there, from just childhood of us just, oh, okay, I can go anywhere. And so my first choice of when leaving home was to go to, I went to the Redwoods, Humboldt State University is where I went to for school. So from Compton to the Redwoods
Wow.
was a major shift. And from there,
Yeah.
it seriously, broke me out of, I have to stay wherever I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned that isn't true. I can go really wherever I want to, if I choose to. And just from living up there, and I was on my own at like 17, basically. And I had a chance to really explore my independence in travel. And after school, it was like, okay, well, I can go anywhere next. And so that's when I moved to Georgia. And from there, I moved kind of all around and traveled all around so many places, but mostly only in the US. I haven't had a chance to leave the US yet to go travel just yet, but soon. The plan is this year. I'll be looking towards doing that. But I do. I love to travel, and specifically if I can go to places that are like where nature is the main aspect of it. That's where I want to go to first. So yeah, that's a big part. Just wherever I can go that helps me feel like I have returned to, I guess, my spiritual home, which is typically a forest or a rainforest, really. Yeah.
You said the magic word for me, rainforest. So what's on the docket? Where is your first international travel place going to be?
Ooh, I am between Norway and right now the south of France. Like those are my top two ones currently. Just so I want that those plains. I want those plains and just all next to, like, not too many skyscrapers in the sky, just earth. And animals. Earth and animals is what
Earth and animals. That's awesome. So then what's coming up in 2023 for Queenly Conjure?
So a couple of different things. We're going to be making some changes. So going back into what I was saying earlier, is that if I'm feeling kind of stopped in one direction, I'm aiming to move to a different kind of space in my life to really focus on the creativity. So big plan for Queenly Conjure is to kind of reel back a little bit, take some time for some healing of the space and getting some organization together, so that big plan is in 3 years of opening again a tea shop / witchy bookstore, and put that in that space together. So the Queenly Conjure will have both of those, and places for people to come to hang out and to rest and to study and to learn. So getting that prepared, getting that ready, building up the resources for that for Queenly Conjure. Moving more into wholesale and consignment for Queenly Conjure. So you'll just see us in stores more than you'll be able to order from us online for next year. So definitely keep an eye on our Instagram, which is just at Queenly Conjure. I'll still be hosting events. We'll probably do a couple, like one event a month at least, for getting back to our moon circles, our new moon circles, returning to those times. And yeah, just kind of going with the flow is really the main part. If I choose, I think our community needs a fun tea party time. Then we'll do a tea party,
Awesome. And where can people find your products right now?
Right now, you can find them at Crescent City Conjure, which is located in the French Quarter off of Decatur. Right? Yes.
Yep.
On Decatur. So that's Crescent City Conjure. We've got a couple of other spots that we're talking to, so I can't quite mention those just yet. But definitely keep an eye out on our Instagram. I'll be reposting it on there too.
Awesome. Any other magical tips or advice for the Yule season for the listeners?
I would say really take some time for the self. Like really clean your house. Take some time to do like a super deep clean of the house. Light your incense, light your candles, have some fun music on that just really helps you relax, get you into like a very creative space, and take a bath if you can. Just take more time for rest and your community, but mostly take some time for rest for the self. Like things are pretty heavy, I know, for a lot of us, and this is a great time to just not deeply reflect in our lives of all the things that might have not worked in the way that we might have wanted them to, but rather reflect on that you're here and that you are love and you are light and that you're beautiful and that you're amazing, and that you're here enjoying a human experience, and allow yourself to really experience being here and all the things that make you feel happy about being here. I feel like that's really important in this season. Yeah, know that you are the gift.
Yes.
Be the gift.
Be the gift to yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. What a magical message. I really love that. I'm just sitting here like feeling all warm and fuzzy.
Good. And that's exactly what you should feel during Yule.
Yes. And it's like you said, it's been hard. It's been rough for a lot of people. It's been really heavy. And looking at moving into Yule and the winter solstice, we're trying to realize that, the dark can be behind us.
Yeah.
That we can kind of let that go. But I think that also means that we need to embrace some new practices that bring the light into our lives.
Exactly. This is a great time for really, really. First, I would also to find ourselves somewhat comfortable with also recognizing the dark, but to pour in that light is very important for our inner selves too. So, because we also got to honor our dark mothers as well. So that's also important too. She helps us really get into the deep parts of ourselves, but pour light on those deep parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. This has really been a great chat. I really appreciate you, LaReina.
Oh, I love it. This has been fun. So we definitely should just have more talks in general.
Yes. Make time for just chatting and not always planning.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. That just enjoy your friends. Reach out to your friends. Hang out. Even it doesn't need to be something major or big. Just like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. You want to meet me there? Like we all need each other, even if it's just some of the mundane stuff, just so that we don't feel alone, because we're not.
Absolutely. And on that note, we want to remind everybody to stay magical this Yule season. Check out Queenly Conjure on Instagram. That's where you're going to be able to follow all of the magic that they have going on this next year in 2023. And just want to thank you again, LaReina, for your time today.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah. And on that note, stay magical, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Annalisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. thank you again. And as always, stay true to your magic.